Hey everyone. So it's a Monday, and I was going to get to this last week, but unfortunately, a lot of things happened, and I wasn't able to get it as I wanted to. So I'm here with an update. Consider this February, March, and the beginning of April. So the reason why I said a lot of things happened is we had some major occurrences, some really big things news wise occur between when I recorded the video previously and this weekend. Um, the first and probably the biggest of them all, and the reason I had to re-record is I was finally able to have my consultation with the bariatric surgeon. Uh, as I talked to you guys about before, we're looking into bariatric surgery to just move things along and help me get to this point where I've kind of plateaued in weight loss. I tend to end up around 167 to 174 kilos each week, as far as what my weight kind of fluctuates between. And we really need to get past that to get down to the number so I can get the transplant. We've been waiting to get the okay to even talk about bariatric surgery. The first, of course, was making sure the fistula, excuse me, the catheter came out, and that was only on the fistula. Of course, like it's out. Um, the other was just getting in to see the right bariatric surgeon, and unfortunately, I have a bit of complications even with that. But luckily, we kind of got that all fixed. Missouri is very strange with Medicaid. When you sign up for Medicaid and they approve you, they automatically assign you to somebody to manage your care. And in my case, that was Blue Cross Blue Shield. I had to switch from that, and it's a helpful process in doing so. But I had to switch for a couple of reasons. One is the actual bariatric surgery. The other, well, the other's the transplant itself. Um, I may have to leave using KU as my listed hospital for this. I'm currently talking through my options uh, with Missouri and with my Medicare provider. We're going to figure out the best way to get this all done because, as you know, the whole point of this is so that I'm not paying the tens of thousands of dollars and honestly what ends up being hundreds of thousands of dollars at the end of the day to get this procedure done. Um, One of the hardest parts about the whole process is, of course, if the Medicaid doesn't come in to cover that 20%, you can't uh, get the transplant without paying that 20 yourself. And so if I go through KU Med at the moment, uh, I wouldn't be able to get the benefit of Medicaid paying the remaining percentage. There are some other things, prescription drugs that I need have been kind of a back and forth lately. But I think we kind of have it all mapped out and taken care of. So that's the big news, and I kind of get more in depth of that in a minute. I did want to get to some of the smaller news. Uh, I have begun the process of uh, mapping out not just the plans for this, but plans for what I'm going to do. I had to get on the wait list for the housing options, and that process has begun. I'm good to go there. We're just waiting to hear when I've moved high enough up the list to possibly get the voucher for housing. Uh, the other thing, of course, along with that is to get to work. So, as you might have known, I have not been working at all. And I relied upon the help of you all for the GoFundMe here and the previous GoFundMe to move things along and take things together. Uh, Raised a little over $1,500 over the course of these two. That's really helped out in some small places where it needed to, but obviously I need to get to working somewhere doing something. And that process began with waiting until January. Uh, January, of course, was to make sure I got Medicare squared away, and that started, as well as some other financial things that needed to be squared away, namely my tax filing and things like that. Uh, Now, because of that, I am looking at my available options, uh, and have been approved for the Ticket to Work program. So that allows me to get back to kind of being a little bit more like myself. Uh, since then, we are working on where to work. The hard part, of course, is finding a place that's okay with me being essentially part time for now. Uh, if I were to work full time schedule, that would guarantee I have to work on days of dialysis, which can be rather difficult. Um, if we can somehow figure out a good plan forward, I look forward to really getting back to work properly, and just having a little bit more fluidity in the way things are done. Uh, Along with those, uh, getting the vehicle worked on, it's scheduled for Wednesday to get some uh, inspections done and seeing what all needs to be repaired. And then from there, it's just a process of making sure we have what I need to get out of the house here. Uh, the first will be purchasing, of course, moving boxes, so we can start boxing up the things that are for certain coming with me. Um, I want to thank everybody that's already committed to helping me with boxing up stuff. Uh, of course, the flooding last year means that a lot of things are just kind of in a certain spot down there in the garage. So that's kind of the big thing that'll be next. The other thing, uh, I've had a lot of time to think, and I have to say, I don't really know uh, how to approach the subject. So I'll just kind of come out and say it. Uh, it has been very difficult to stay in the house a lot. Cabin fever is a term that is often used where it doesn't really apply. I'm beginning to start to deal with the cooped up feeling, the very limited, outside the house time. Ah, it's very hard in this process to know it's not really safe to go out too much. And so, because of that, it can be a little trying at times to just stay in the house day after day and not really get to interact with people other than, remotely. Um, I got a chance to get away from that and see a good friend of mine from all the way back to my high school days, my freshman year of high school, to be honest. Uh, my friend Jamel was in a Raisin in the Sun the last couple weeks of March, uh, and I was able to go, not this past Sunday, but the one before, the 26th, and see him perform live. And it reminded me of all of the things that I haven't been able to do, uh, and haven't had the space to do since this process started. How often I used to go to plays, that it wasn't really a big thing to talk about. How often it was going to ballet or going to symphony, or or just experiencing some live music or poetry and things of that nature. I think we take for granted often how full our lives are. It's only in the moments where we're forced to have the clarity of isolation that we see what really is available to us. And while I am, of course, more focused on the next step, the next day, the next hour, I will admit that it is very difficult to not think about the future, to not think about what to do next. Um, the first of that decisions is where to be. This house that I'm currently in is my mother's. It'll be sold before my process is over with the transplant. So I have no idea where living will end up taking me, whether it still means Kansas City or whether it means somewhere else. Uh, but also, what do I do? it may sound strange and very existential, but who do I want to be after this? The nurses and my good friend Tiffany, hi Tiffany, uh, I both told the same, hilarious suggestion that when this is over and y'all see me on the beach in speedos and no shirt, don't act funny. Y'all know what time it is. But I say that jokingly, but I do mean there is going to be a vast difference between the me you see, even in this video, and who I am 6 months from right now. Uh, that kind of brings me back to the bariatric surgery. Uh, doctor's Dr. Tan. He works with Menorah. His offices are right on kind of that Roll Knoll area by the highway, just across state line in Kansas. And he also has offices in Lee Summit. Uh, as we talked on Wednesday, he explained to me that the procedure that we're going to do, which is called an SADI switch, duodenal switch type, basically, it's the SADI type of switch. And he explained the process and how it would change digestion and eating and all that. But he also explained how the weight loss works and that as long as I stick with it, I could see about 80% of the weight I need gone in about 3 months. That is drastic change. Um, I am looking forward to that drastic change, certainly. But as he spoke and explained to me the process, the effects, if you will, I started thinking about the difference that is. Because he said, you've already lost, in my case, I think I ended up at 172 in the office that day. I'm lower than that now, obviously. But he was telling me that, if you started at 500 pounds, which is what I started at last May, being down to 372, that's already a lot of weight loss. And it means you're more likely to lose the weight you need quickly. So now we're talking about 90 to 100 pounds inside of 3 months. And considering that, again, we're doing this not for just general weight loss, but because we need to get to a number for my transplant. By the time we get through the surgery, the recovery, that 3 month period, the transplant process, recovery from that, it is very likely that I will be way lighter than I have been since basically middle school and a lot taller than that. So now it's a question of, well, what does that mean ultimately? And I don't really know. I've never experienced that. There was elation when he told me. I was truly happy to hear all this. And there's some things to do. I have a psychological evaluation to do. I have a nutritionist consultation to do. I also need to um, do an endoscopy. That's where they put the camera in your mouth and they go down, they look at your stomach and things like that to see exactly how things are working. So I have those coming up over the next month and a half. Uh, but I mean, we're targeting this beginning of the summer to do this process, which means that yeah, we could still be on track for late this year to do the transplant. And I don't know. I just it makes me happy, but gives me a lot of questions. And I want to thank everybody that has constantly tried to, hmm, excuse me, constantly tried to make sure I was okay, checking in, doing things for me, helping me out with things here and there. Uh, this is kind of what we fought to get to, and I want to thank you for fighting with me. But I have a lot of questions now. Questions I didn't think I was ever going to have, and certainly didn't know were going to come in the way that they have. Um, let's put that aside for a second. So I have been working on my book. Unfortunately, the book is done, but the artist that was supposed to do some art for each of the pages, and basically it was like uh, designs for each of the sections in this collective of all the poems, as well as for the cover and for the page numbers. That person has just kind of disappeared. I was able to get my money back from the service I was using for that, but that does leave me in a situation where I'm just doing it myself. So it's not going to look like I originally planned, but I am really happy about the way things have gone in that development process. Um, I can't really, tell you everything about what I'm doing with it, but I can tell you that there is a time frame coming. I guess is the best way to put it for it to be ready. Um, I was working on it quite diligently the last couple of weeks, and so a lot of uh, what we're doing now is just I'm asking friends, hey, does this look on center? Does this look correct? And then just kind of moving as I need to. Um, I can kind of show you what the image for the cover looks like. I won't show the actual template I'm working with, but we can give you that. So that's what the front on the right and back on the left cover will look like. And yeah, I can't really wait to finish up so you can guys see. I said, if you know the title, you kind of understand. It's called "Lost in My Whirlwind," and so yeah, we're going for that. But beyond those, I have been just trying to make things work the way they need to. I feel like we're at a good place. There's a lot less going on right now. It's still a lot of hurry up and wait, but obviously big news in case of the bariatric surgery, big news in case of the car and ticket to work. Um, the next big thing is continuing to pack this house up, which I've been, like I said, doing and going through things. Those of you who have my social media, you've been able to see the different uh, things from there. Of course, the big one being the photos from uh, my cruise when I graduated from high school with my mom and family, as well, of course, my parents going to the Grand Canyon. Uh, but yeah, right now, I just want to thank you guys again and kind of give you an update. Uh, it's not much else to talk about. There's, it's a lot of just making sure things get done. It's a lot of just staying focused. It's a lot of you know staying encouraged. Uh, I really want to give special thanks to uh, new and old people who have taken time out to really be encouraging. Uh, as always, I want to thank my god sisters, Melina and Tammy. I was going through it the other day, and it was pretty rough. And Tammy just kind of talked me through a lot of what was going on. We must have spent 30 minutes on the phone just after she'd gone off work and gotten home. And, they do that. They not just keep me, spiritually centered, but they really do keep that realistic. Hey, it's okay. Let's talk about it. And Melina and Timmy both have had to do that at different points, and I am blessed to have them still in my life. Uh, Sometimes it gets a little rougher than I like to admit to, and so I'm glad to have both friends and family that you know still want to step in. Uh, but that's it, really. I don't have anything else big going on. We'll kind of pop back in sometime in May when it's closer to time for the surgery, and definitely after the endoscopy is done, to give you an update about how that process is going. And who knows? I mean, by the time I do another update after that, I should be pretty far along in the weight loss side of things. So, like I said, next update, we'll just kind of know what's going on with the insurance switching and, like I said, all the bariatric surgery stuff. But for now, that's everything. Thank y'all again for all the contributions. Thank y'all for sharing this. And again, I will see you next time. So y'all be safe. Take care. Bye bye.